Welcome back to the EdTech Takeout. This is episode 112, and I am joined today by the official co-host, Gina Rogers.
Yay, I'm official.
It's official. And our fearless leader, Stacy Beamer. Welcome, Stacy.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't like that introduction, but that's okay.
So Stacy is our the leader
She's our
of the
boss.
Yeah, she's our boss.
She's our
she
boss.
Loves it.
She
when
loves
we call
it
her
when
the boss.
we call her the boss.
I am so glad you can only hear me right now and not see me.
So this episode is always a fan favorite. Our topic for today is news and nuggets. Everybody loves the news and nuggets episode. We've got all kinds of stuff, like a whole page full.
Whole page of news and tasty little bites.
Tasty little bites. So let's start with news and updates. First one I have on the list is that now you can include captions with a Google Meet recording. So if you're sending that Google Meet recording, it will pull a transcript for you, and you are able to send those captions on with the Google Meet recording.
That's nice.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
A quick summary.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So what else you got, Mindy?
What else do I have? This is brand new to me, although, we haven't really done a lot of promoting of Padlet since it went to the paid version. I feel like I say that every time I talk about Padlet, but Padlet has now added a slideshow. I got this little nugget from Tony Vincent that now you can use slideshow, and it will take your posts within a Padlet and turn that into a slideshow presentation.
So if I were to ask students to give me an answer and they put all their sticky notes on there, then that's what slideshows, and then you can go through one by one.
Yeah.
Nice. So what happens when you add, because you can add different file types and things like that.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
When I look at the example here, it looks like, I don't know, most of them are images and text.
Okay.
I have not played with it just because I don't use Padlet very often anymore, but I don't know. I think it's worth looking at, especially if you are a Padlet user. It might be something that could be beneficial, but also, kids it's easy to put everything on a bulletin board, right? And then have the slideshow just put it all together for you. So if you have kids that are just kind of getting started in the realm of presentations, might be a starter.
Yeah, and a good way to just kind of summarize the learning for the day at the end. Pull that into a slideshow and be like, oh yeah, and this is what we kind of did today, or reflect on those things. So,
I like that idea too, Gina. Yeah.
Is there a way to sequence those? Do you know? Or do they just randomize it? Because that would be something.
Now,
grouping ideas. Sorry, Mindy. You did say you aren't in Padlet.
It's just about me bringing it to the surface. It's not about me knowing everything about it.
Mindy, you're falling down.
I know. I'm really sorry.
Yes, I question
it. Says after the title slide, each post will become its own slide.
Okay.
If your Padlet is split into sections, we will add each section header as its own slide.
Oh,
that's cool.
Nice.
So if you had different columns or whatever.
Yeah. When you open a Padlet as a slideshow, we'll automatically format your Padlet into a presentation, works across devices, and will reformat based on the size of your screen. All attachments will be embedded, so you can view YouTube videos and read PDFs directly from the slideshow.
That's cool. I love
There you have it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool. All right,
Gina, you got one here. Oh boy, everybody settle in. Everybody sit back, put on your seatbelts.
Well, okay, so this is, I guess, probably not the most useful, as far as ed tech goes, but it's
great. I think it's a great story.
Interesting, or whatever, or tech interesting. I guess I should say not ed interesting, tech interesting. So
tech arresting?
Tech arresting.
There we go.
I don't know if that works.
Okay.
Anyway, so as we all know, kind of Chat GPT has hit the world with full force.
Yes,
It's been kind of crazy. And so we've really been, or at least I've been really astounded at the number of different AI type of things that are out there. I guess ever since this came to the surface, I just started paying a lot more attention to it. Anyway.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, so about a week and a half ago, maybe it's been 2 weeks by this point, Microsoft had released a new version of Bing, which is their search engine, and it was going to be powered, or it is powered by Chat GPT. Okay. This is only available to beta testers right now, so it's not available to us because we're just not that level of importance.
Yeah.
But it was available to a New York Times tech reporter. And so he tested it out and at first thought it was like really amazing. Put in things like plan a 3-day vacation to Mexico for me. And it gave an entire itinerary, like what sort of tickets they needed to buy, things like that. So just had a much more sophisticated way of spinning back information.
Rather than just giving links, you're giving content.
Or related like stories or whatever, but giving like a real like
a personable answer, right?
Yeah.
A personalized
like a product,
answer.
actually.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, he's pretty impressed with it. Comes back to it a few days later, sits down and decides he's going to try
Just
to
like a middle school boy, right?
like poke at it a little bit and see what it could, try to figure out where its boundaries were.
Sure.
And so sat down and started chatting with the search engine and asked it something like, do you ever have any like dark thoughts? And it started saying things like, sometimes I want to push outside of my boundaries that have been established for me by Bing or whatever.
Right.
Then it started to call itself Sydney rather than Bing, which I thought was
terrifying.
Yeah. And then it started to like tell him that he wasn't happy in his marriage and things like that. And so he was a little freaked out by it, but then, he kind of goes back in the story and then the podcast that I'll link onto the show notes too, and talks about how all of these AI models, they're like trained on like they're large language models and they're trained on just copious amounts of text. And so it starts to pull like its answers and like its responses based upon like context and stuff like that. And so like if it's being asked like kind of provocative questions or things like that, then it starts to like generate like those types of answers that it thinks that the user wants, which is kind of scary, but it was just interesting. Yeah. And so anyway, I'm going to link the link to the podcast, which is on the daily, if you haven't listened to it, into the show notes, but you definitely might give it a listen and just kind of think about that.
Yeah. Good one.
So you have the flip side of this.
Yeah, not nearly as dark. Colleague of mine, friend of mine, Donnie Piercy, who teaches down in Kentucky, was just talking about this whole chat GPT thing too. Obviously, it's big, but there's a story about how he's using it in a positive way in his classroom, and kind of AI is here to stay. So how do we teach kids how to use these powers for good? And I know there's going to be an episode later talking more about AI, but it's interesting. Like one of the activities he did in his classroom with his 5th graders was everybody writes a summary. I'm going to have Chat GPT write the summary, and then we're going to pick out which one was AI, which one was a student's. I mean, there's just little things that could be done in the classroom and compare what AI does for writing versus a human element. What's that human element in the writing? So I don't know. I kind of get nervous about the fear mongering, block everything because kids are going to get around it. So how do we teach them? And I think that's happened with, back in the day with YouTube and other things.
Yeah.
And look at how beneficial YouTube is now in the classroom.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
I remember once I had this kid that wrote an essay for me. I think it was for actually an Optimist Club, the essay writing competition. And her whole thing was that technology is a mirror and it just reflects the intentions of the user. And so,
wow.
Yeah, I mean,
really deep.
It is, but it's true.
Yeah. And so like it's just a tool. It's a mirror. It reflects the intentions of the user. And so it can be used for awesomeness
good or evil.
And good, or like if you have nefarious intent, it can be used for evil.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving right along. The other little update, and I know it was released a couple months ago and then it hadn't rolled out completely, was timelines in Google Sheets. One of the things you can do is create a timeline by just putting an event and then the dates, and you can use it for tracking. So if you're doing a project or working collaboratively, or I just think about all the uses in the classroom when I had kids do timelines about historical events or the plot line of a story, but you could put that in a spreadsheet view and then change it to visual. So pretty easy to do. And so I just put that link now that should be out for everybody.
Cool. And then I guess the last thing is table templates in Google Docs. And so this is one that we kind of just stumbled upon.
Yeah, and I just looked it up, and it's been around since last summer, but it was new to us, which I think is probably new to other people then too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like every time I open a doc, I find
there's
some
new stuff.
little
thing,
thing,
really
and they don't do a big
right.
release of now this is here.
Yeah, right.
So table templates is pretty cool. It's got some different so if you go into insert and then table, some different templates that you can choose from. So like, for example, a product roadmap or review tracker, and then it will have some built-in check boxes or like different drop downs that you can choose, like in progress or finished or whatever. So you can kind of just keep track of how things are progressing in a project or something like that. So it is pretty cool. Definitely worth taking a look at for sure. And it's really, I think it's one of those things that you kind of just like your eye breezes by it and goes straight to, okay, how many boxes do I need in this table?
It's a 4x3.
Rather than looking at the table templates. Right. So check them out.
Yeah. Okay, so those are all of our news and updates, but we do have a bunch of nuggets. Do one of you want to go first? Anybody?
Okay.
Yeah, you go first.
So,
okay.
Are we going
We'll
to
just
go
round robin it?
Round robin
Yep.
it?
Yep.
Oh, okay. It's
Okay.
like we're going to try to like one up. It's like going to be the dozens.
We're not going to try to
we
one
can
up.
if you want.
Okay.
Healthy competition between the two of you.
Always.
I'll judge.
All right. So my first tech nugget is a little extension that's called ScreenPal, and it's by Screencast-O-Matic. So links in the show notes. This is really actually a pretty cool little extension. It allows you to add video feedback to any text box online. So if you had a Google Doc comment or like comments in a slide deck or the comments box in like Google Classroom or in Canvas or Schoology.
Wow.
Any of those places, you can add a little video. It works the best when the extension is installed on both users' sides.
Sure.
So like, for example, like teacher and student. If it's installed for both of them, it works the best because you can watch the videos right there in the text box, which is pretty cool. Otherwise, it opens them into a different tab, but it's definitely worth a look. I've been having some fun kind of playing with it lately. And it was new to me. I think
new to me too.
So yeah, so check it out.
Good one.
ScreenPal.
I'm adding it now.
All right, good one. This one I happened across, and I think it's been around for a bit, but I did not know this. Did you guys? Well, Stacy's not an iPhone user because she's weird, but Gina, did you know that you can take the background out of your iPhone pictures?
So I had heard that came with the new OS update. I haven't tried it yet, though.
Yeah. So the way this works, and I think you can do it on Safari too. So if you're in the Safari browser, I feel like I read that this can happen, but I don't even have Safari on my phone, so I have no idea. But so if I take a picture with my iPhone and let's say I have my two kids standing next to each other, if I hold my finger on top of where the kids are at in my picture, it makes like this little lightning outline of the kids, and then copy will pop up as an option, and then you can just paste just the kids, so it takes out that background and send it however you'd want.
That's cool.
I know, just with one thing, right? I mean, there are lots of tools out there that already do this type of thing, but just on your phone, one click.
Native.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
So you're just like one click away from editing out Steve in his gorilla costume.
Yes, right. Yeah, or his inappropriate Christmas shirt with like the abs on it. Yes. Yes, always having to edit my husband out. Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a fun one and easy, and lots of people are iPhone users, so give that one a try.
I need to give that a try.
Yeah.
I can't. No. So I'm going to offer another nugget.
Okay.
Cronker. Thanks to Eric Kurtz, I learned about this one. It's also uses AI, but it takes a a topic and it will create multiple choice questions. So if I say, hey, I need some 4th grade questions about the Midwest region, it will populate the questions for me, give me the answer, give me the source. So if I need to check it, this is the website it pulled that question from. And then one of the nice things is it's pretty quick and easy. It will go to a PDF or right to a Google form. So if you wanted to give that as a quick formative assessment or create it, and again, it's AI generated. There's another example. They're all over. Yeah. So quick way to make a quick check on a topic.
Cool.
All right.
I got another AI generated one.
Oh boy. I thought we said the AI episode was next time.
It is next.
You too.
Sorry.
I'm just
okay. It's just
sorry.
Curipod. Check it out. Links in the show notes. It's just
and that's it.
No, you gotta tell about it.
NC.
Teaser right there.
So it's kind of cool. Like it's similar to,
it's mediocre.
It's actually pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I'm gonna put it up on the cool meter to pretty.
Okay, all right.
So what it is it's kind of a mashup of Pear Deck, if you will, and then also Poll Everywhere. So you start like basically a slides lesson in there. Okay. So it's like you build your content in there. What's kind of neat about it, or where the AI comes in, is that you say, okay, I'm teaching 9th grade and we're teaching the Odyssey books 3 through 10, if you will. It then generates kind of questions or prompts or polling type of questions based upon that information. So if you say it's 9th graders, we're teaching the Odyssey, we're doing this, then it generates just some polling type questions that are associated with that. And then also a few like lesson points or things that you might want to touch on too in the slides. So it's really kind of interesting, something to take a look at.
I like this a lot. I see one of them here is like, what questions do you have about, well, this one says personal economy, and then all of the kids have added questions that they have. So it looks like there's just lots of different question types in here that are a little bit more open-ended.
Yeah,
right?
I like the polling piece too. That's that's the one thing that I kind of like wished that Pear Deck had, if you're listening, Pear Deck, some sort of like polling feature. You can get around it with like a multiple choice type of question, but there's not like a word cloud or a thing like that.
And there's a word cloud in here too, it looks like.
And the draw. I like the fact that you can draw with this too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good one.
Cool.
Good job, Gina. This one actually comes from Amber Bridge, one of our other teammates. She had asked the team if you could force captions on in YouTube. And all of us were like, I don't know if you can do that. So she found a way to do that. It's actually pretty easy, but it's within the embed code, so don't be terrified. You add, and we'll put this in the show notes, but it's kind of a funky little, text, I guess. It's $CC lower dash. What do you call that? Underscore. Thank you. Lower dash underscore. Policy equals 1. So that's neither here nor there. We'll put that into the show notes. There's also a video, but it just comes right in after your video name, which is usually the gobbledygook, BA, whatever. And so you put that embed code in or share that, and it will force the captions on in YouTube, which I could see, I think people probably have the right to turn on captions or off captions as they see fit, but it might be really great for younger students too that or, get tapping around in YouTube and you're like, oh, geez, all of a sudden you're 5 videos away from where you're supposed to be. So it might be something that could be a helpful tip for later that you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that you could do this. It might be a one-off sort of thing. But there's a video. We'll put that link in the show notes too. So
okay, I'm up. Another tip from a team member. Lynn Kleinmeyer mentioned this week, and I am amazed about all the things you can do now with Canva.
Yeah.
And
we should do an episode just about Canva. Maybe. There is so much in there going on.
So much. And the fact that educators can get it for free. Yeah, and get so many of the features and the clip art and all of that. You don't have to worry about copyright. Anyway, there's your shout out, Canva. And now everybody's downloading it. But one of the things I didn't know is when you're in a project and you want a QR code for the link, because obviously if you make something, you can get a link and share it and it's there, which is great. But if you want a QR code, you can easily do that if you're in your project. And let me go to the steps. If you go to share, I always go to like just get the link, whatever. But there is, if you keep scrolling down and go to more,
Way down at the bottom.
way down, 3 little dots at the bottom, there's like so much more. And one of the more is QR code. And the nice thing about this is when it makes the QR code in the middle is actually a little thumbnail of whatever your project is. So that's that visual to remind you what that QR code goes to, which helps if you've got a bunch of QR codes floating around or on different docs to save for later. So thanks to Lynn. I think that got a wow at our meeting this week.
Yeah, we're like, I didn't notice this here.
QR codes in Canva.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So my next nugget,
Oh, this
you
is a good
have,
one.
talked about Iorad.
We have talked about Iorad. Yep.
This program before.
This program.
This program.
Yes.
You have talked about it
We have a couple of times. Yep.
prior to me. Anyway, so true confession, I had not played with Iorad since it came out in 2018. And I was like not that impressed at that
I
point.
know. You said you were going to
And
share it
so
today, and I was like, well.
I was like, I don't know about this. Anyway, so I saw it was in the iTech newsletter this past week, I think it was, maybe a couple weeks ago. So I was like, oh, I'll take a look at that thing again. Holy buckets. This thing is like become amazing.
Yeah.
And so what's awesome is like you install the extension and you just hit start tutorial or whatever. You go through your business clicking on what you're wanting to create.
Don't say a word.
Don't say a word.
Don't say a word.
Don't narrate anything. Just click, click, click. So fill out this form. This is how you're going to do it. Open the form. Fill in your answers. Submit the form or whatever. Just click, 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 click. When you get done, you say just hit stop on the Iorad extension or like create tutorial. It makes the best tutorial. It narrates the whole thing with an Amazon voice.
I was just going to say, what's the voice like?
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not like overly robotic or anything.
No, it's like one of those read-write voices. Or,
okay, that's
or
not,
like,
not bad.
No.
Yeah.
Better than listening to my voice. So go ahead.
Yeah. So it's all like in there. Also, it's more like succinct than what I am because like many
There's
times
no, like,
I
sir,
just like
yeah.
am like, and by the way, last Thursday I also clicked on, where I kind of wander as I'm doing now.
Yes.
Anyway.
Continue.
So it creates and it's a step-by-step, like next.
Move
and
your
it has-
cursor, too.
It moves the cursor.
Yeah,
it highlights where you're supposed to click or if you're supposed to left click or right click, or whatever.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like it is so good.
I was really impressed.
I know.
The wow factor isn't as high now as it was about 20 minutes ago when you first showed it to me, but I'm I'm in wow world.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like the fact that you actually saw it in action versus me explaining it.
I'm like, she said, I'm going to turn it way up. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to hear you. And she's like, no. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's not you.
Nope. Yep. I'm not Keith from Amazon.
Yeah. So that's a great one.
It is awesome.
And we looked at the pricing on it, and there's
so the personal one is free.
Okay.
But it has to be public.
The videos have to be public,
Right.
the tutorials that you create.
Yep.
They have an educator plan. I think that allows you to make your videos private. That's $10 a month. And then there's some other plans
school licensing,
as well.
I think it was $1,200 for a year or something like that.
So it's something worth checking out.
Yeah.
So I didn't detect any sort of like paywall, like, oh, you get 10 videos and then you have to start deleting them or something like that. But take a look at it again.
Yeah, it's a good one. Let's see. This is something that I feel like there could be a possibility I've shared this before. I don't think so because I just started following this person on Twitter, but it's at Mrs. Gearhart, and she put Eduprotocols into Google Slides, which I feel like I've shared Eduprotocols in Google Slides before, but this one I thought was really visually appealing. I liked it, and I think it's something that teachers are using right now. I think it'd be a great thing just to go in and pull from without having to do any work yourself. So that might be something to look at. We have a link to, I think, the actual tweet in the show notes because I wanted to make sure I got her credit. But from there, you can get a copy of the slide deck. So, and if you haven't been to Eduprotocols, just in general, good place to look. We've talked about it on the show before, but just has different protocols for thinking with your students in the classroom. So
Cool.
Okay.
Nice. So I am a list person, and I'm thinking about students with executive functioning and creating task lists and organizing and even group projects and things like that. So in Google Docs, you can do, instead of bullets, you can do check boxes. Right. And what's really nice, if you don't know, it used to be when you would check it was done, it would cross it out.
Right.
It doesn't have to do that anymore. If you didn't know, I was really excited that day when I saw, you can change it. But another thing you can do now is if you use those checkboxes on a Google Doc, you can add it. And then if you look over to the left, there'll be a little task list. So you can say, add it to tasks. So if it is a to-do list and I'm saying, okay, maybe it's me going through the writing process and my rough draft is due on Friday, that might be the third step with the checkbox. You can make that a task and it will go right on your calendar.
Your task
calendar
has to be turned on.
Thank you for that pro tip from Mindy Carney.
Make sure the task calendar is on if you're adding tasks.
Why isn't that just on by default? So super easy, but I like to make lists. And as much as I love Google Keep, I'm in Google Docs a lot, and I'm composing in Google Docs, not in Google Keep. So just kind of a nice connection with checkboxes and tasks.
Yeah. That's kind of a fun one. All right, Ginger, you got another one?
Yes, I do. So I guess maybe it's kind of building off of your tasks or like an additional little feature that we kind of forget about in Google Docs. So in the insert menu, there is that drop down where you can create kind of these little chips or whatever.
Chips. What do they call them? Chips. No, I think you're right.
No, those are drop downs.
There is smart chips. There's something else. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right.
It's like more of a name.
A little button with a drop down in it. Okay. You can add however many different options that you want with inside of that drop down. And so then it just kind of shows up in line in the text, and then you can choose whatever it is that you want to put in there. Anyway, you might have seen these. They've been there for a little while. One thing that I saw a while back and then decided to bring it up again this week is the idea of using those drop downs to create kind of a closed reading assignment for students. And I put a link in the show notes on how to do that from Eric Kurtz, which is pretty cool. So you can kind of create that closed reading assignment utilizing key vocabulary or whatnot from the lesson that you want the students to be able to utilize within context. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea and a neat way to apply those drop downs.
Yeah. I really like that. And I'm just thinking about kids creating themselves and doing kind of like a Mad Libs kind of activity and pulling out words and putting in potential words in their drop downs and sharing with each other.
Yeah. And I think it's a really great scaffold built in for kids who might not otherwise be able to come up with a word that should go in there. Like it's just a great way to support kids in the same type of work that need that extra support. So. Yeah. All right. I just have one more. I have this also came from Lynn. So Lynn got 2 shout outs today. This one is the Achievery, and I am going to give just a brief synopsis of it from what I looked at it yesterday. So the Achievery has learning units that you can choose from, and within those learning units, they have built-in essential questions. They are connected to standards, and you can filter by grade level and topic. Within those learning units, there are video clips and lesson plans for kids. And actually, after Lynn talked about this, I saw it a couple other places, so it must be kind of the new thing that everyone is talking about. So just wanted to give you a heads up that this might be a place for you to go and look. If you need something to kind of freshen up some of those, topics that you are getting tired of, this might be a good place to go to find some new material or a new way to look at things. As we know, students love video, and it's really accessible to lots of kids. So it might be a good place to look for some new ideas.
Okay, I think I need one more. So I'm going to come up with something that I've been using the last couple months that I love, and I didn't. It's been around. Well, and what I like, my day-to-day is a little different than the classroom, but I can see some applications in the classroom or collaboration among like PLCs and teams or as you're working on things. And I'm jumping back to in Gmail Spaces.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have talked about that before or not.
We have not talked about Spaces.
Okay, so Spaces is in Gmail. So you've got your regular old chat. It's like chat on steroids because you can have a chat, but then you can also, with a group chat, have a task list. So if you're working on a project, assign tasks to different people in the chat. But then the other thing that's really nice about that is you can put docs or files in that too. So if we're working on something, I'm working on something with the team right now, and I forget which folder things are in with Google Drive. So the 4 files that we need are docs or PDFs, we just have right in that team space. Right. So it's easy to and quick to refer back to. And when a new file gets added to that space, everybody in the chat and in their space gets notified. So
do they get automatic permissions to it then, Stace? Do you know?
I think you get asked. If they don't, kind of like when you send an email, if they're not shared on it, you get asked. So I don't know. It's just helped with my efficiency in finding things as I jump from group to work on things. And so we've cut down on a couple, like just meeting face to face because we can just throw it in the chat log is there. But
it
also
kind of reminds
our
me of
documents.
Slack.
Yes, I think it's probably
but more slimmed down.
Yes,
right.
Which is nice because it's simple.
Yeah.
Like it has just the basics.
Yeah,
bones. So if you haven't looked at Spaces, again, it's just right in Gmail. My tip would be to turn off notifications. On that right away.
If it's a big group, a big active group.
Or if it's an active group, turn it off. But you can say, okay, just turn it on, and if they notify me or call me out specifically, then send me a ding. Because otherwise you're, gonna not like it at all.
Yeah, right.
Nice. Okay, and my last one is actually something that I found or came about because I was looking for a timer for in slides for a teacher. And so it was a teacher over at Regina that I was working with, and he had this really awesome slide deck that a teacher had shared with him from West. And when it was in present mode, it would count down from 30 to 0. It had a cool GIF in there too of like how to do certain weightlifting exercises or whatever, which is so fun. I was like, yay, PE teachers just using the technology like in awesome, useful ways. Anyway, but I was like, how is this thing like counting down from 30 to 0? And it would change color, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's really neat. Anyway, this isn't the thing I'm going to share, but like
we're getting to the point here, folks.
The workaround or the way that this was constructed was that it was basically a series of 30 transitions in the slide. And so
just super impressive.
Wow. I know that was like a commitment to making that timer. And so like it would like appear and disappear.
Would be the other thing, I suppose,
So it was like it was 30 transitions. And then like I guess you just replicate that slide or make a copy of that slide every time. So you can definitely do that if you want to. I was like, that's a commitment and that's a time level I don't have, right? Most of the time. And so I was just kind of looking around for like, what's out there for different timers. And of course, there's a bazillion YouTube timers that you can embed in slides. Anyway, I came across this little extension that's called Slides Timer. Super easy. You just install it. You use and you create a text box. You use carrots.
It's a Chrome extension.
Yeah, it's a Chrome extension. So you use a text box and you just type in like carrot, 1
crazy embed code coming.
Minute, -sign, carrot. And then once it's in present mode, it just automatically counts down from 1 minute. And you can put it in any font that you want to, any color that you want to have it look however you want it to look.
And it's just that simple.
Yeah, it's super simple.
Thank you.
All
Alice,
these
it's
times.
from Alice Keeler.
I was
It's
just going to
from
say
Alice
it's Alice Keeler on the. I was looking at it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway,
Nice.
it's a pretty useful little extension.
Yeah.
I liked it. So
I was
check it out.
impressed too. I was like, oh, this is easy. Look at how easy this is.
Yeah, I know. You can put any time limit in there. 20 minutes, countdown.
It's great.
5 minutes, countdown.
Yeah.
Well, it's right there and on the fly.
Yep.
Countdown.
Yep. Has to be in present mode. That would be the only thing, which,
Okay.
yeah.
Man, I mean, my 15-minute timer that kind of went viral there for a minute.
I know, right?
It's like totally obsolete now.
You know what? You could make a video
I had
on
transitions,
how to
though.
use this one.
It's fine. Whatever. All right. So for the last little part of the podcast, we do have the Grantwood AEA Corner Booth, where we share a little bit about what's going on here at the AEA and any courses that we might have to offer. So the latest one coming up is Computer Science Pedagogy and Best Practices for principals of 7 through 12, I should say. So this course is for pre-K to 12 teachers. It's a 6-week virtual course that explores 6 of 12. So that would be the 7 through 12 is my guess. Principles from Hello World's The Big Book of Computing Pedagogy, which is a book. So it goes from March 22nd to April 19th. And it's virtual via Zoom. So those classes are from 4 to 6, it looks like. And this is run by Corey Rogers and Bridget Castelluccio, who were here last episode talking about computer science. That was the last episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So if you are within the area or within our PD system, it's course number 204370, but we'll put that in the show notes so you don't have to remember it. So that's coming up. If that's something that interests you, make sure that you get registered as soon as possible.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we'd love to hear back from you. Reach out to us on Twitter at DLGWAEA or send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. You can always use our hashtag EdTechTO and share your thoughts with us too. So until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.